Hello and welcome to this video. We will talk about procrastination. What I have learned from different sources. I have tried to gather them, compile them in this presentation. Let's get us started. Recently, I have read a few books on focus and productivity. This video is a compilation of what I have learned from that. This is certainly not an extensive research on psychology. Neither I am an expert on the subject. As a matter of fact, I am a work in progress. I'm still exploring and experimenting with different techniques. And this is just sharing my learning of what I have discovered from going through these sources. Let's get us started. What is procrastination? Almost all of us do procrastinate in a way. Some of us do more than the others. Essentially, procrastination is putting things off until later. You delay some action, some activity, or some work which you need to do or want to do. The question is, why do we procrastinate? And the answer is very simple. Procrastination occurs when you have to do something or when you are told to do something which you don't want or you don't like. Simply thinking about the things you don't like or don't want triggers the pain in the brain. It activates the pain center, something called as insular cortex. I don't know much about brain, not a biology expert, but those who know, this is the area of the brain somewhere towards the left, which is responsible to trigger the experience of pain. We will come back to this into more detail on why do we procrastinate and how we can procrastinate less in a while. Let's discuss what are the things we lose, or even first, do we lose anything by procrastinating? Spoiler, mostly yes, we lose something. What is that? First, since procrastination triggers pain, or you can say, I should correct myself. Procrastination is caused because of the feeling of the pain. So you distract yourself and need some kind of painkiller. You have to write a project report. For example, you don't like it, you get distracted, you try to indulge into activities like browsing social media, playing some games on your mobile. Essentially, what you want to do is to get distracted from the pain which you are going to experience by doing things you don't want. At extreme level, this can also lead to excessive alcohol or smoking or just relaxing yourself by taking some drugs. That is quite extreme case of having a painkiller. Second thing is, since you are procrastinating, the thing which you have to do is still somewhere in your mind. So you find it hard to focus on the other things which you are trying to do. There is something always playing in back of your mind, that one item or one task or maybe more than one task is still waiting to be done. Third is you lose energy. We have limited mental reserve, or you call it like attention space, something like a RAM in a computer. So you have RAM in your memory, which is the attention space. And by delaying something, that some portion of your mind is still occupied, which keeps on consuming your energy. Not only this, when you have some kind of deadline, like 1 week to finish something, and you are not motivated or you don't find any strong reasoning of doing it right away, you delay it towards the end, maybe towards the end of the week. And that essentially, most of the time, creates panic, rush towards the end to finish things. And Even if you finish things, you end up self-reflecting. Oh, this was something I could have started before, so that I would have had a smooth sailing rather than a rush or panic towards the end. You may lose out some opportunities if you are unable to do or finish something within the deadline. That essentially leads to deterioration of your confidence. You lose confidence on your own planning abilities or your own capabilities of what you can do and what you can, how you can plan. Procrastination as a habit is very dangerous. In one of the books, it says it's like eating arsenic. Arsenic causes cancer. If you eat lots of them, you essentially die soon. But if you eat small amount of arsenic every day, you may not die. But that leads to a dangerous habit where your body is getting adapted to arsenic, but the longevity is not going to be normal. You are going to die sooner, maybe not tomorrow, not today, but sooner than you would have lived without arsenic. So procrastination in a short term may not give you enough loss or any considerable loss, but if it becomes a habit, you lose a lot of opportunities, energy, as well as you are unable to focus on things at hand. Now, coming to why do we procrastinate and are there anything we can do to procrastinate less? It's very simple, and the discovery is quite easy and natural just through simple introspection. Let's talk a few of them. First of all, try to differentiate between the lack of motivation versus lack of structure. Many a times, it is not the case that you lack motivation, rather you lack a structure where you don't know how are you going to make use of your time. What things are you going to do and when? If you lack this kind of a structure, you will always be fighting throughout your day what to do next. That will essentially take your energy and may not give you the optimal productivity in a day or in a week. I have also mentioned the book from where I learned this towards the left. This is something I learned from Atomic Habits by James Clear. As we go ahead in the slides, you will see some of the things are mentioned in multiple places, multiple books. However, I have kept only one reference book where I learned that particular concept. So the tip is have a daily and weekly plan in advance. In the beginning of the week, maybe on Monday morning or Sunday evening, plan your next week. What are the things you have to do? At best, try to prioritize what are the things you should do first, so that even if you fail in the reverse. You end up doing not that significant items rather than not able to do the prioritized items. Do the same for every day. Have 2 or 3 top tasks for every day. If you are just starting and you think 3 is more, start with 2 or even 1. Like, what is one thing you would like to do in that day? As you practice, and very soon then you realize you will start to do more than 2 or 3 items. But don't try to scatter your focus throughout across multiple items. 2 or 3 is a good number to start with, or even 1 if you are not if you have just started to practice. Second is, don't hold your thoughts. This is something interesting. Like, everyone has the same foundational brain. We tend to think like we are unique, either in a positive or a negative way. But the fact is, all of us share the same basic structure of how the brain works. And as a side note, brain has evolved from the state where it was focusing only on survival and reproduction, the 2 basic instincts of brain. Brain is not meant to do things or feel pain or hold your thoughts or focus. So the thing is, your brain is meant to generate thoughts, ideas, but not hold them. So whenever you feel anxious or fearful or overwhelmed, just vomit out all your thoughts, all the things you have to do, all your fear or anxiety or the state of your mind, so that your brain is empty than before. Once you have realized all your tasks which you want to do or which you have to do, essentially, you may make use of Eisenhower matrix, which is a 2x2 matrix, where you classify your tasks into one of the 4 categories based on their urgency and their importance. Of course, you should focus more on the things which are urgent as well as important. If there is something which is not urgent and not important, just delete it. And you can also plan it, like schedule a task in future, or you can delegate the task to someone else based on their urgency and importance. Keep a track of your energy level. What is your state? Do you want to sleep? Maybe you didn't have enough sleep yesterday. Do you want to exercise to boost your energy level or meditate? Do you want to talk to someone, maybe your loved ones or your friends? Or are you feeling not to work and want to take a vacation? Or you want to do something else? Maybe you have some other commitments, go to shopping, or you have to go to want to watch a movie, something. So just know yourself. What is your current state? Since we all have limited willpower doesn't always lead you to extreme success. Some of us have more willpower than the others. So have a process. Don't rely only on the willpower. Instead of fighting against your state, try to identify and respect what is your current energy level and your current state. In a book, Flow, by Csikszentmihalyi, there is a section where he talks about boredom and anxiety. Boredom happens when your tasks are too simple. Maybe it is too repetitive. There isn't enough complexity, or if it is not rewarding enough. Or when the task becomes too complex than your current set of skills, it becomes anxious. It leads to anxiety. For boring tasks, think of making it complex. How can you take it to the next level? One example can be writing test cases, talking about the computers and IT people. Writing test cases for some of them is boring because you have a set of things to do and predefined templates for one who is already experienced. So think of making it complex, like, okay, you are having 80% coverage. Can you make it 90%, 95%? What about even closer to 100%? Oh, that's the next level of complexity or next level of challenge. Think of making things complex so that you get more benefit, more sense of satisfaction from there. Make it rewarding. Whatever task you are doing, you reward yourself by some kind of benefits, either in terms of satisfaction, or it may be in terms of monetary benefits, something, but it has to be rewarding so that you are inspired to do the task, even if it is boring. Know the why you don't want to do it. Also have a sense of what will happen if you don't do it. What is the negative consequence of not doing it? When you think about the why, you become more close to your real self, more close to your real passion. Maybe the thing or the area you are working on is not pushing you enough. It is not satisfying or rewarding you enough. That could be a reason you are not enjoying it. Know your why. Maybe in an extreme case, you will just switch your discipline from one area of profession to the other. But that's not always the case. In the same area, instead of having to move to a completely different area, you can move laterally as well. In some big companies, you can move from one team to the other team, or one project to the other project, where you can make use of your existing skills as well as learn something new. Just know your why, and it simply means explore your passion, explore other areas. You may fail, and but that's the that's the pleasure of learning. If a task is too complex, try to collaborate with your peers and talk to your managers. Explain your current situation. Don't hesitate or don't shy away from just displaying your current state, like, oh, this is something I am less comfortable with, or this is something I need to learn, or this is something which can't be done in the schedule, in the expectation of, like, if you're given a project which you have a deadline of 1 week, you can say, I don't think this is going to take 1 week. Even if I try to do it in 1 week, first of all, I'm not sure, and second, it's going to take a lot more effort. I am risk of burning out. Just explain them, be clear, be honest. You can also try to decompose a complex task so that you can have multiple small objectives to tackle at one point of time. Take it into smaller steps. You can also have a dual cadence, like what is your long-term plan in a 1 year or 2 year or even more? And also, what is your short-term plan, like for 1 quarter, 1 month, or a mid-term plan, like somewhere around 6 months? The point is, have multiple cadence of how you are going to realize your objective or your goals. Whenever there is a complex task, most of the time it will require you to enhance your skill. Take time to learn. Make your learning fun and rewarding as well. In schools, one of the technique is having what schools do is having a session, like every 2 months or every 1 month, they have some examinations so that you get rewarded for your learning. Delay in reward is one of the main reasons we delay our action. So whenever you are learning, try to make a small increments and have a mechanism to check your learning, check your understanding, apply your learning, execute your learning, and get rewarded at best. Whenever you are going to work on something which requires focus, figure out what are the distractions you may encounter. You can refine and revisit your list of distractions, but once you know them upfront, you also know how to deal with them. There is a term attention residue, which means whenever you switch from one task to the other, attention doesn't completely shift to a new task. Some part of your attention, which is the residual part, is still stuck on the previous task. This is mostly the case if you switch without completing the previous task or without keep making the previous task go to its logical conclusion or logical end. Not every task will be completed in a single sitting, but you have to know what are the milestones of that task, what are the checkpoints of that task, when you can pause and when can you resume the task. You should know upfront what is the scope of that task in one sitting. Or many a times, even if a task is not having a clear time boundaries, even if you finish the task, you go to a new task, you think of how could you have better done the previous task. So contain a task or your milestones, what you want to achieve, into some kind of time boundaries so that you have minimum or no residue when you switch to another task. Also, when you are dealing with your distractions, try to shut down distracting apps. Open your emails only when you have intention to work on anything actionable which comes from the email. Just don't open the email just to see things and feed into your memory like, oh, these things have to be done, because that is essentially a procrastination. There are things which will be there running in your mind in background, taking up resources without you doing anything actionable on that. So open your email when you are ready to work on something actionable if it comes out from the email. Make your work easy. This could be simply tracking your state, and something simple like temperature of your work. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Are you having noise in the surroundings? Can you use noise cancellation headphones, something, earplugs, whatever? Make your work easy to focus rather than you have to fight the distractions. If you have difficulty to start on some task, or if you have difficulty to focus, if you are beginner in there, a Pomodoro technique can be quite helpful. In the Pomodoro technique, you work for some time, then you relax for some time, and you repeat the process. Something like you can start with 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of relaxation, where you reward yourself with thinking in a very diffused manner. So it's a focused state and diffused state, where you focus for some time and then you diffuse, relax, meditate, do some breathing exercises, watch television, talk to someone, which is essentially how you relax your brain after your focused session. If you have difficulty to start working on the task, make use of the first cycle of the Pomodoro, like first 25 minutes or first 45 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time you specify or you decide. Use that time to structure out what you want to do, just to scope out what you have to do. In the Pomodoro cycle, don't rush to finish anything if you are planning to focus. If there is something you are learning and you need more focus, then don't rush to finish things in that 25 minutes. Rather focus on focusing, the habit of focusing. If there is something which is shallow, which is something which does not require a strong focus, for example, responding to someone or putting out some comments, or quickly going through some pull requests, or reviewing something which you already have enough background about, try to batch them together. You can do multiple things in a Pomodoro cycle if they are small, shallow activities. However, it is recommended to do one, or if it is about focusing, then try to not do many things together. Focus only on one thing in one Pomodoro cycle. Rewarding is very important when you are done with your focused cycle. You may have a goal of keeping track of how many Pomodoro cycles you did in a day or in a week or in a month. Usually, if you talk about 25 minutes of focus and 5 minutes of a reward, you can do 3 cycles in a one sitting, like for 90 minutes, and you can do 2 to 3 in a day, but it depends on person to person. Some people can do more, some people can do less. Just understand what is your beginning point. Usually, it's 2 to 3 set of Pomodoro cycles is fine, like 90 minutes of focused or deep work 3 times a day, or 2 times a day is a decent start. When we talk about Pomodoros or deep work or deep time, focus time, it's not that you will finish all the things in those time window. Or even if you are thinking of whole day, in one day, you might not be able to finish all the things. Most certainly, there will be few things which will be left over. If there is any leftover, do not stress out, do not burn out. Instead, follow a day-end ritual where you close all the books, where you close all the things you are doing, logically close all the things, and you make a note of unfinished things, like what are the things which are unfinished. Even best plan, like how you are going to do as much detail as possible, like what are the steps you are going to follow when you resume back on that task. Or if there is anything which you have done and you feel like it could be better, it could be improved, make a note of that. Use this note as the foundation for your next day's top 3 or top n tasks. So these were some of the techniques about how can you reduce procrastination. Now, one question is, do we always lose by procrastinating? The answer is sometimes we benefit. When you are dealing with something which is vague, not extremely clear, or is complex, try to load your mind with the problem and possible solutions, and then simply diffuse. Sleeping is one of the effective way of diffusing your brain. Diffusing means you think openly, you think without restriction. In a focus state, you restrict, you narrow your window to a specific problem, but in diffused state, you let your mind wander. You just try to lose control of your mind. You try to do something which is habitual. Running, walking, watching movies are some of the examples, or talking to someone, playing with your child is something which really works for me. But everyone can have their different way of effectively diffusing. But don't diffuse until you have at least fundamentals in place. Because your mind is going to work in background. So have the clear fundamentals, even at best clear problem. Even if you don't know how to deal with the problem, you should know, like, okay, this is what has to be done. This is the final state we have to reach. How? Okay, that's complex. That's going to be discovered later, but that is the positive procrastination. Once your mind relaxes, recharges, and works in the background, you will see it does really wonderful things for you. It's said that when you sleep with the problem, you wake up with the solution. Now, coming to my state. At first, as I said before, I'm not an expert, rather a work in progress. I'm still learning. Some of the books which have been mentioned, I've gone through them. I am still going through some of them. The books which I have gone through them, I am yet to explore some more techniques and hacks as proposed in that. So I might be sharing more as I learn. But one thing to know is there are many techniques. One technique which works for one is not guaranteed to work for the other as well. There are different things which can work for different people, and one thing which works for one people might completely not work or give negative effect for the other. So be open to exploration, be open to experimentation, and that's the way growth happens. I would love to know your technique. Like, is there any technique which I missed? Or is there any technique which worked for you? If you would like to share, I will be happy to know that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for your attention, and have a productive day ahead. Bye.